I used to think those terrifying stories you hear online only happen to other people, until I became the main character of one. This is a true story about me, the owner of this channel, Cheshire Shade. I've kept it buried inside for so many years, and only now do I have the courage to finally tell it. Maybe it's because I recently heard that he's gone, the man who once terrified me back in college. I'm not sharing this out of hatred or revenge. I just need to let it go, to finally free myself from the memory that's haunted me for so long. Back then, I was a college student. One day, a professor invited me and a few classmates over to his house. He seemed respectable, well-spoken, polite, the kind of person everyone trusted. His house was filled with strange decorations, Asian statues, charms, and odd trinkets that gave the place an eerie vibe. Everything seemed fine at first, until he offered us drinks from his fridge. A few minutes later, my head felt foggy, like I was slowly slipping out of reality. Some of my friends left early because they felt uneasy, but for some reason, I stayed. The professor started speaking to me in an oddly familiar tone, and then he offered to read my fortune. I don't know why I agreed. It was like my body was moving on its own, my mind no longer clear. And then, he began suggesting things that crossed a line. That's when something inside me snapped back to awareness. Maybe it was the faint sound of the pendant my mom had given me, or maybe just pure instinct warning me I was in danger. I jumped up and ran out of that house in pure panic. At the gate, I ran into one of my classmates. He saw my face and helped me get away from there, driving me straight to a hospital. The doctor said I showed signs of being under the influence of something, but the tests came back clean. The police later investigated, but they couldn't find a single trace of evidence in the professor's home. Not long after that, he quietly left the university. On paper, the case was closed, but for me, the nightmare had just begun. For months, I lived in fear. People around me said I might have been cursed or under some kind of spiritual influence. I didn't believe in that stuff, but my body was weak, my mind was heavy, and I couldn't explain why. My mom and her friends were desperate. They made me keep that pendant with me at all times. Some of them even traveled all the way to Thailand, hoping to find someone who could help me. They truly believed something had followed me home that night. Eventually, a friend of mine, a senior who had studied in Thailand, introduced me to a monk. After a few visits and prayers, I started feeling more like myself again. Maybe it was spiritual, maybe just psychological, but I was finally free. Years later, when I learned that the professor had passed away, I didn't feel relieved, only empty. Maybe what I needed wasn't punishment for him, but peace for myself. And somewhere along the way, I met someone, my girlfriend. She listened, she understood, and she helped heal the part of me that was still broken. I'll always be grateful to her for that. I'm sharing this story not to spread hate, but to warn anyone who might one day find themselves in a similar situation. If someone seems overly kind or unusually interested in you, trust your instincts. Leave. Don't stay to find out why. I'm Cheshire Shade, and this is my true story.